So, looks like you're going to get two surveys out of me today. We're here looking at this building here. This is a 1960s, 1970s detached house, and it has a problem with damp on one of the dining room walls. Now, we're here through a recommendation from a local window fitting company. Rather strange, but I'll explain why. So, the lady had a problem with damp on just one wall in the dining room. There's a small local area of dampness to the right hand side. She didn't know what the cause was. So she was recommended to obtain a leak detection survey. The leak detection specialist came out, had a look at the plumbing, decided it wasn't the plumbing, and then came up with an alternative to the problem. That survey was charged at £750. There was no intrusive inspection undertaken. Let me show you what we found. So here is the problem internally. As you can see, we've got a little damp tide mark just at the base of the wall, about 150mm higher than the skirting boards. We've actually cut the skirting boards off and we've done some testing. So at first, what we did is I tested the surface plaster, and generally the readings were low. And as to was the moisture content of the skirting boards. When I started to check the wall in scan mode, just reading beneath the surface plaster, and it gets some higher readings. So what we've done is I've drilled two little holes there through the plaster, and we're using these insulated probes to test the blockwork behind. Now you can see we're getting some higher readings. Okay, so a little bit of disparity there between the surface plaster and the blockwork. So just to confirm what might be going on, that hole there is a sample that we've taken from the wall, and we've taken a calcium carbide reading from there, and that reading's come back at 1.5%. Now, that's not really high, it's not exceptionally high, but it does say that there is some moisture present. And this is blockwork really, so normally that needle wouldn't even budge over 0.2% with dry blockwork, but it does highlight the disparity between electronic moisture meters and calcium carbide meters, because electronically that reading there might give you the indication that that wall is soaking wet. But in fact, you can actually see chemically, when we chemically test it, 1.5% moisture content. So a little bit of moisture there. You'll also note that the plasterwork there is gypsum based. It's a gypsum browning plaster and gypsum skim. And it also extends into contact with the floor. So what this would lead me to believe is, first of all, the damage is local, so it would suggest a local problem, but it would also suggest the fact that the readings from the surface plaster are low as to the skirting boards, only high readings in the masonry, and some moisture present in the blockwork would lead me to believe that this is probably a cyclic issue. It was never going to be the result of a radiator leak because the boiler is maintaining pressure, and it's a combination boiler. So let's go outside and show you what we've done. So, outside, the first area of concern is this rainwater down pipe here. Now, this rainwater down pipe actually passes through the flat roof of the garage. Now, when you have a look, I'll come up close, you can see there that that rainwater down pipe is sited very, very close to the wall. And it was therefore inevitable that when they did the work, they were never going to seal properly behind it. And therefore there was a risk that when water hit the wall or came down the pipe, it would probably pass through this roof covering below. And that's exactly what's happening. So we set up a little flood test there, look. And when we come down, what we can see is that water is clearly migrating down the pipe, okay, and then dripping from the cavity where it's almost impossible for them to seal. Well, what we've also done is there are some perforations to the wall cavity. You can see a slot there where there's a beam being installed into the cavity wall, and that's for the garage roof here. So what we've done is we put the boroscope in there, and if I can get the camera, 1 second. Okay, there's the boroscope view in that wall, and what you can see there is the beam end. But notice that the wall cavity is dry, so there doesn't appear to be any issues with water coming down the cavity wall. So what we've then done is come to the bottom of the wall. We've realised that this masonry at the base here gets absolutely saturated because of this defect here. We've opened up the cavity, okay, and what you'll see is you can see the cavity is quite clear now. But actually it was full of debris, and there's the debris there built up above the damp-proof course, both left and right. and that's the material that I've removed out of the cavity. So what we've got here is we've got local saturation at the base of the wall because of this defect above us, and that's that cavity there is breached, which has allowed that moisture to pass through and saturate the wall internally. And furthermore, when we look here, you'll notice that that gully there is actually new. It's a UPVC gully connected to below ground clay drainage, but actually when we say connected, it's not really connected. Somebody's just put the gully top directly over the old drain, and as you can see, it's very easy for water to escape from that area there and saturate the ground again, probably contributing to that problem. So there you go. Now, the leak detection company suggested that the cause of this problem was actually the result of rainwater coming under the garage door, because the garage door here, as you can see, has got no threshold. So they put this problem down to water coming down this area here, flooding the garage due to the defective door seals and the absence of a door threshold. Now, it was never really going to be that, and the only reason we're here is because they were instructed to get a new door frame and door threshold from a UPVC company, and they turned up and said, we think there's a problem here and it's not the door. I think you need a second opinion. And that's where we came in. So at our end, this was actually booked in as a damp survey, meaning the customer was only charged £180 for the survey. And I've done a fair bit of investigation, as you can see. So a really cheap survey. This should have been down really for a leak detection survey, and it would have been a lot more. But it is what it is. You know, shit happens. Sometimes the office get things wrong. But the initial leak detection survey was £750, which failed to identify any of these problems. So I have no doubt here that the client will probably be using my report, going back to the leak detection company and requesting their money back. And in my opinion, quite rightly so. Anyway, there you go. Thank you.